Some of you might be wondering how on earth I'm able to run a full-time jewelry business and a coaching business all at the same time. So this is it. This is Notion, which is basically my second brain. I'm going to show you how you can get access to this jewelry dashboard as well. But first of all, I just want to explain what it is and show you what it does, and then I'll explain how at the end. So this is the best thing since sliced bread, in my opinion. So what is Notion? It's basically like a to-do list on steroids. It saves you having to have post-it notes everywhere, notes on your phone, and notes in books somewhere, and spending so much time wondering where the thing is that you need to do before you even start doing the thing. So I'm going to show you all of the templates that I use every day in my jewelry business and my coaching business. This is my one specifically for my jewelry business that I have recreated as a template that I can then share. So obviously all of my information isn't in this, but I'm going to show you everything and how it works. So first of all, here we have organization. So here we have a simple to-do list. If you like, it's super simple and super clear, where you can literally just write a note. So what I have to do is call Maria, for example, and something you need to remember. And then you can literally, as you're doing it, you can either add information here if it's like if there's more details you want to add to that, and you can just type the stuff here. Or then once you're done, you can then say, okay, I'm doing it, drag it across, or it's done. So you can just organize yourself like that: to do, doing, done. And it's really nice and satisfying seeing a whole long list of things you've done, because often in a notebook we'll just scratch it out, or it's on chuck away the list, and we don't have that sense of satisfaction of like, oh my god, I've actually done a lot, because the to-do lists never end. Am I right? So that is one super simple, really helpful to-do list. Super great. Then if you want something a little bit more in depth, there is the ultimate to-do list, which I personally love. So this is divided up into different sections. So inbox, today, tomorrow, next 7 days, priority view, and all tasks. So I'll show you what those look like. So inbox, if you click on there, basically this is where you can just dump all of your things you have to do, and then you can sort them out afterwards. So say you're on a walk, this is also available on an app on your phone, so you can have access to it wherever you are, anytime, which is great, because you know when you're on a walk, that's when you get filled with great ideas, right? So then you can simply add something here. Say the task is take photo of new ring, for example. Then you can give that a priority, whether it's medium, high, or low. Say it's high priority. We can then put a due date. So say it's due on the 30th of August. And if we want this to be a recurring task, then we can put number here. Either it's recurring every 1 day, every 2 days, every 7 days, whatever that is. So say it recurs every 7 days. This wouldn't. Then you'll see the next date over here when it's next due. Then it will change. You'll always see the next due date here, which is great. So I'm not going to take that off because that's not relevant for this task. And then you can either just leave it here and you can keep adding your tasks, or then when you come back and you're ready to sort everything out, then you can add it to a project. So you can click on here, and I have all of these different projects. So the way that I like to think about projects is that they are different brain areas. So for example, all the things to do with making, that's going to be one project. All the things to do with creating a website, say you're creating a website. All the things to do with marketing, etc., etc. So that way I can then organize my tasks. So say today I only want to focus on working on my website, then I can go to that project, and all the tasks that are relevant to that project will be there. So that is really helpful. This one is obviously taking photos, so this will be part of a photography course because I have a photography course set up, and then you will see it disappears from here, which is great. So you've organized it. Then if we go back to the ultimate to-do list and we click on today, if we've set anything for today as a to-do, then it will show up here. Then if we go to tomorrow, same thing, next 7 days, same thing. And the priority view I absolutely love, because anything that's super important, you'll see it in a list here, medium and low. So you know if you're feeling super unfocused and you just want to do the things that are really important, to move you forward, then you can focus on these high priority tasks, and they're all there and you can ignore the other ones. So I love that section. Then if you want to just see all the tasks, just show me everything I need to do, click on that and you're going to see all of the tasks there. Obviously this is my template with examples, so it's not filled with things, but you get the idea. Then you can scroll down and you'll see all of the different projects. So like I showed you before, so all of the different tasks to do with each of these projects will be in this project. So if I click there, I will see everything to do with that project and I can just stay laser focused on that. Then, some of us are visual, like myself included. We have the calendar view where basically you can see on the actual calendar when certain things are due, which is really, really great. So over here, you'll see everything on your calendar. So you can see, okay, this week's super busy. I've got loads of tasks, loads of stuff to do. Let me not book in anything else that week. Let me schedule that for a week later. You can also simply here be like, oh, right, I've actually done that one. And you can tick that one off and it disappears. Ah, that's lovely. You will also see next to, if we, for example, in all tasks, the blue and the red dot. So the blue means it's something that still coming and it is due still. The red means it's overdue. So you can go back and look, oh my goodness, I need to do that still. Once you're done, you can tick it off. Okay, I've done that. It'll disappear. And you get a little smiley face. Cute. All right, so that is the ultimate to-do list, which saves me so much time. I love this thing. It's great. Then if we head back to the dashboard, we've got the SMART goal template and guide, which I'm not going to explain this in loads of detail, but essentially setting yourself SMART goals. So making sure that each goal you set is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, so that they are actually something that you can achieve. Then the idea is that you then dissect each of these goals. Say it is send a newsletter a month. Then what you can do is have all of the details, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And in those, there's some prompts of what to write for that. And you can write that for each of those ones. And then as you're working on it, then you can drag this down and say it's a new goal and you pop it down there. And if you started it, if it's in progress, etc., etc. So pop that up there as an example. And this way, then you can see what tasks to actually get started with. So you'll see this section here, SMART goal summary, key motivators, getting started, and your reward, so treat for that afterwards, and your streak tracker, so keeping track of anything and any resources you need to add as well to make sure that you're staying on track to achieve that goal. Then you can add those tasks to your to-do list, and that way you're actually acting on them actively. And then this is linked to that. So this is basically just a goal tracker. So you'll see where you're at with your different goals. So that's just part of the other one. So before we jump into marketing, I just wanted to say that my CSA course is actually live as of now. So I'm super excited. It's been so much fun working on it and basically compiling everything that I've learned over the last 9 years of running my own jewelry business and setting up all of these kinds of systems, figuring out what emails work best, figuring out how best to approach influencers, and all of this stuff is stuff that I've learned and I have compiled into these helpful templates that go along with everything that's in the course, teaching you how to turn your jewelry business into a full-time success. So in the email marketing section, all the students on the course will get access to all of the information about all the different email sequences, with how long to wait in between, and example emails of my actual emails, and the sales psychology. I explain that all in the course, what each of these mean and how they can then create their own. So essentially you can copy paste and look what I've written, and there is a function for each email and it's been thought through and tested. So that is something super time saving for everybody else. Obviously it took me time to set them up. Then we've got influencer marketing, which is really nice. So we've created these formulas and these tables that are really nice to be able to keep track of everything in terms of your influencer marketing. So you can write who it is, where you found them, their handle, their email, contacted, follow up, etc. And I explain how to do that, how to pitch different angles, different strategies to go about doing that, and how basically best to work with influencers, because obviously there's a way that gets better results than other ways. So I'll share what I have learned from my experience from doing it for many years. Then we have got contacting shops. So contacting shops, so all my email templates here of examples, and I go through I explain all of that and like how to create a good email so that it gets the best result, the do's and the don'ts, because there are some really common mistakes that a lot of people do when approaching shops, and they just no-nos. So I explain all of that. But then this is essentially where the students can keep track of their actual progress with everything, all the details and all of that. Then part of the shops as well, stocking shops and boutiques, so keeping track of details of who, which shop, if they've contacted them, etc., what stock is in each one, and all of that. So that's really helpful as well. Then we've got launch template. So when you're launching a new collection, then you have a lot to think about, and sometimes it can feel really overwhelming. So there's a nice little table here so you can figure out pre-launch, launch, and post-launch. So everything that you need to do in terms of tasks to keep on top of that. The priority, if you have different team members working on different things, then you can assign it to a specific person, and then the number of days it will calculate for you, and say if you've set a date and a timeline, it'll calculate how many days you actually have to do that task, which it does automatically. We've set that up, and that's really helpful. Then you'll be like, oh my god, I've only got 4 days left. Then that helps you stay on track of everything. Then next, so there's another template of that, because for each collection you'll want to have everything documented separately. To duplicate, you can literally just click on here and duplicate to create a new one before you input everything in there. Then in-person events. So this is a whole list of questions to ask organizers before you even sign up. So these are really important questions to ask so that you don't waste your time spending time creating collections, creating all the advertising for a market, and it's completely the wrong target audience and completely the wrong place, and it's just a waste of time, because that is really disheartening. So these are things to ask before you go. Explained everything in each of those points. And then along with that, you also get an in-person events checklist where you can know like what exactly to bring or what to ask the organizer and all of that stuff, which is great. Then SEO. So this is once I've explained all the SEO and how to go about doing that, then this section is just to keep all of your keywords, your long-term and long tail and short tail keywords. So keep track of that. So that's really helpful. Then we've got the whole branding section. So you can add your branding kit here. So your logo, your brand colors with your hex codes, any variations, your text, your fonts, some mood board, just so that you can have a nice visual. This is also really helpful if you want to get someone to help with your brand. Then you can show them this and they'll get an idea exactly straight away what your brand is all about. So it's really helpful just to fill out this section with what your brand stands for. Obviously, that's once you know exactly what that is yourself and you're super clear on all of that. It's just a really nice visual place to have. Then mood board as well, adding images, any inspiration, any brand design that you like, and you can just add whatever you find helpful over here. And that is really nice as well. Then the lookbook. So the lookbook is all about creating a lookbook. So I explain all of this as well. how to create a lookbook, what the function of a lookbook is in terms of reaching out to shops and improving with your relationship with stockists, because it just makes you come across as really professional when you have a lookbook with all your pricing and everything just figured out beautifully and crystal clear and on brand. So that's really, really helpful and has gone a long way for me. I've been using lookbooks for many years and always got to update them, obviously, but they are really great. Then we've got this whole finance section. So we've got the jewelry pricing calculator. I know it can be super overwhelming to figure out how much to charge and all of that. So I've created this super easy to use little system here so that you can just input the important things and the things that you know, and it will generate the price for you. So let me just show you how it works. So here, say we've got a necklace called Rhea, and here we can select, okay, it's a necklace. Then here you want to input the material costs. So say you're using some jump rings, you're not going to put the whole bag of jump rings, the cost of that. You say you only use 2 jump rings, you're going to calculate how much those 2 were, so divided by the amount of jump rings in the whole bag, and then the actual metal that you're only using in your piece. So say that comes to a total of $7, for example. And also you can change the currency by clicking over here, edit your properties and number format, and you can choose whatever currency you have. So let's just leave that as is for now. So say here I put my necklace, I say I have a necklace called Rhea here, then I select necklace. Then over here you want to input how much your material cost is for making just that one necklace. So say that there's a whole bag of jump rings and you only use 2, so you need to divide that cost of the bag by how many you actually used. And then obviously your metal costs as well. So say for example that costs you $7, and also you can change the currency over here because we don't all use dollars. Edit there, and then you go edit property, and then you can choose your format over here from whatever currency you have. So there's loads of different currencies over there, which is great. Then you want to input your time. So say it took you 1 hour to make, you can pop that in there. Then you're going to input your hourly rate. So 15 is a good starting point. It may seem quite low, but I'm going to show you actually in a moment how that actually doesn't end up being 15 and you actually end up taking home more than 15 per hour. So say it's 15, then your cost of product is 22, so that calculates for you. We want to now add the markup. So usually for markup, it's between 1.5 and 3 is like absolute tops for like super experienced, well-known jewelry designer. But 2 is kind of like the common standard, but you can go anywhere between 1.5 when you're beginner, 2 when you're a bit more experienced, and then up to 2.6 is what I do. So that depends on you. So whatever you choose as your markup is going to change the price. So you can also play around with this a bit and see what you think feels good for you. So I'm just going to go for 2 for this example. And then as I put that in, you'll see everything calculates. So my wholesale will be $44. My retail price will be $88 because I have a markup of 2, which means the wholesale is then doubled. And then my profit from wholesale would be 22, and my profit from retail would be 66. So all of that calculates automatically for you, which is super helpful. So you don't have to wonder if you're putting the right things, because you're putting in the actual things you can control and you do know. So you want to always try and keep your markup consistent and your hourly rate consistent. So once you decide on that, then you're just putting the material costs, the name of the item, and how long it took you. So that saves you so much time. And you'll see that your your profit from wholesale, you get 22. So already that you're taking home more than 15. You're taking home 22. So even though your hourly rate is 15, you're still actually taking home 22 at the end of the day. And then your profit on the retail is 66. So that is great. So basically you are still earning more than 15, even though your hourly rate is 15. So hopefully that is all clear. And obviously your profit from retail is going to be more. So the profit from retail is when you're selling directly to the customer, either at an event or online. But if you want to plan for wholesale, then it's really important to have your prices including a consideration for wholesale, so that it's not like, oh, it's okay, say you were like 22 for retail would be your profit, but then your wholesale is 0. So then you can't do wholesale. Then you'd have to redo all of your pricing and figure that all out from the start again. So yes, that is the pricing calculator, which is super handy. Let's go back to the finance section and look at one of the other templates. So there's the personal budget in here. So basically you can input your income or expenses and say what it is, and if it's a recurring, and give it a tag if you want as well, and then projected monthly. So that's gonna then estimate how much you projected monthly for that. And then for each month, you basically input here for January, for February, for March, for April, and you can list everything here, all the different kinds of things you could have as expenses for your personal life. Then we have a similar one that's also for your business budget. So over here, where you just keep track of only your business expenses, so separating that from your own jewelry business ones, so your incoming and your expenses. And either you can work these out as like a lump sum by the end of each month, because you input these numbers for the end of each month. So either you work it out as one number, or you put them in as individual costs or incomes. And then you can see also, again, click if it's recurring or not, where it came from, and then make sure if it's a expense, then you've got the minus in front, and at the bottom here, like on the personal budget, I forgot to mention, it'll calculate the sum for you. Here you get a nice overview then over all the months and how you did, what came in, what went out, and that's really, really helpful to be able to project ahead and see where you could maybe cut down a little bit, where you could be spending more. So always remembering that whatever you're spending your money on, it needs to bring you the best return on investment, so ROI. So that is a really helpful way, and all of these things have been calculated and this template's set up so that you can just keep track of everything super easily, just because sometimes we think that finances is like this absolute nightmare and it's super hard to keep track of everything, and Excel is really complicated. I don't like Excel personally. I find it a bit overwhelming and I don't understand all the cells, but here it's super easy. And yeah, so I've set this up and this has been working for me really great. Then over here in the next one, personal cash flow. So over here in this section called personal cash flow, it's basically another way of keeping track of your business expenses. So you can choose one or the other. I wouldn't advise doing them both because it's just double the work, but choose which layout you prefer better. So the way that this one works is you put a starting balance. So say you invest $10,000 of your hard-earned cash into starting your jewelry business. And I do really recommend starting with some sort of cash in the bank to start off with, because you do need to set things up. Obviously you don't need 10 grand at all. I started with 1,000, I think, when I first started, once I actually officially had it as a business. But at first I just drip fed whatever I could afford at the time. But once you actually like, okay, let's take this, let's go, and you want to put some money aside and separate that money, then it's really great to move from hobby or side hustle into like, okay, this is a separate entity now. So then whatever you can put aside at that time, just pop that number in here. And then you will see these numbers will change accordingly based on what you put here. So like the other one, you've got your income and your expenses, except they're in two separate columns here. So for example, you've got shops, wholesale, Shopify, PayPal, whatever it is. You can, again, divide this up into super specific things, or you can keep it general and lump sum, whatever you prefer. More detailed can be more helpful for you to then get a better overview. But it's completely up to you really. So income and expenses, and you see those separately with the number at the bottom here and at the bottom here. But then those are attached to this. So this is part of this. This is like your balance calculator. So I put 10,000 in. My total income is 37, as you see here, based on all these things that I have coming in. And then your total expenses is 2,000, which is this number down here. So that means the balance is 45,100. These are just hypothetical numbers for now, but you get, this is just to give you an idea. So say then I want to add something else. You also have the different months over here. So February, so I'm going to add a new thing here. Say I'm going to have it as a PayPal, something from PayPal. February, the amount, say, let's just do like, so that you can really see, big number there. Add an extra 0, why not? And then you will see that that's been added there. So that this is changed over here as well. So you'll see now it's got the 100 attached to that as well. So it automatically calculates that for you. So you have a running balance that's live and active. Obviously, it's a good idea to update this and to keep adding what you need, what you're spending and what's coming in, so that this is up to date. So to set time aside at least once a month, once a week if you want to, just to go through everything and input it here. And then you'll just be able to see, right, I have X amount, and that's nice and clear for you. So that is this personal cash flow. Well, it says personal cash flow, but it's actually business related. I should actually probably change that. So if you want to edit this to call it whatever you want, you can call it whatever you want. Business cash flow, voila. And then that is another super helpful thing. Then we've got invoices. This is not for actually creating invoices, but sometimes you need to keep track of invoices, or, with a shop, like you want to keep track of how much money you're getting in from a shop. If you stock a shop, for example, then you can put if it's incoming or an expense, and it's just to keep track of that money as well. So you have those numbers, the amount, and also if you need to be reminded, or if there's a due date, and the status, if they paid, if it's a payment plan, if you need to still create an invoice, and if it's completed, then you can tick it off and call that a day. So then you have those numbers to add to your income or expenses column in the other one. So your actual invoice creating, you can do that on wherever you want. Everybody has a different system for that. But this is to keep track of the actual money coming in and going out. Then last on the list, I think we have one more here, is the savings calculator. So this is really nice because sometimes we want to make a really big purchase. Say, for example, you want to buy a new bench and it's really expensive, but you really have your eye on it. Obviously, it's something a bit too expensive to ask for a hint for a birthday present. Maybe you can, but say you want to buy it yourself, but you can't afford it all in one go. So what you can do then is go, okay, create a new one. What I'm going to do is call it a new bench. Okay, and say you want to buy that and you've looked online and it costs like, I don't know, 1,200 for a nice fancy schmancy one. And here you're going to put the start date, so today, and then you're going to say how much you want to set aside per month for that. So say I'm going to set aside 20. So here in this section, you will see the day you can go out and buy that bench. So that will be on the 25th of August, 2027. If I were to increase this number, obviously, say I want to put aside 100, then you're going to be able to buy it on the 25th of August, 2023. So that's next year. So seeing that whatever you change here, whatever you feel, you can obviously always change that. Then you know that you're working towards that and it's nice and clear, and you can tell that you're going to get that if you continue doing XYZ, putting so much aside per month. At the bottom here, you'll see all of your tracking of your savings. You put this, 40, 50, whatever you've put in, and that will be kept here. So you can see, actually, I've been doing a very good job of, saving for things that are important to grow my business. So that is all the finance section. So over here we have the making. Obviously, everybody's making process is completely different, but what I like to use this section for is jotting down any notes, doing some to-do lists. You can also create sub-pages if you have like something separate that you want to list separately, or you can also embed any links to resources. So for example, if you always buy certain supplies from a certain shop and you always forget what the shop's called, this happens, then you can pop that down here. Just anything to help speed up your process in terms of the making. And these obviously link directly to the place. So you click on that, boom, you're on that site. So it's just really nice and useful to have this section as well. And obviously you can add more yourself by clicking the little plus and adding either a new text or page or to-do, whatever you want. You can convert any of these things into any of these things. But if you wanted a separate page, click on that and you call it what you want, and you can add whatever other subsection you want and find helpful for you. Then we've got the content planning section. So here, content calendar. This content calendar is really a nice place to keep track of all of the content in whatever shape or form you want to put out there. Whether you're interested in writing and you love doing blogs and you want to have that as part of your website, then you can keep track of all of those ideas here and work on them right here and have all of that easy to grab and copy paste to your website when you're ready. So over here, you can have this whole section where it's just an idea. So say you want to add a new idea. Say I want to do about brand story, for example. Then you can add a type. So say it's going to be a blog post. If you have someone else who does it for you, happy days. You can assign a different person, and you can add a deadline as well if you want to. So then this is in the idea phase. As I'm working on it, I can then drag it across. Okay, I've started that. In progress or in review, reviewing it again, and then it's published. So this way you can kind of get a nice overview of the different kinds of content you're putting out there. So you'll be able to see, okay, I've actually been talking a lot about my brand and I haven't done any personal posts about my story, like where this all began. So then you can add that to the ideas section and then schedule that in whatever shape or form you want. Podcast, Instagram, Facebook post, newsletter, whatever you like. And it's really nice to be able to have that overview so you don't feel, what did I write about last? So it's really great. Then you've got the deadline calendar. So these are the different views of the same thing. So here you'll have the deadline calendar. So you'll see, oh, okay, if you put a date, I need to do that by then. So you pop dates on them and then you'll be able to see. Here you can just see all projects and okay, that one's an idea phase, in progress, review. And you'll see I didn't add dates to all of them just so you can see how that looks. If you are launching and you want to keep track of that, then this is a great place to keep track of anything that is part of the launch and by assignee, if it's a specific person, and published. So that is really, really nice to keep track of all of that content. I don't personally use this for my Instagram content as much, but you can, because I have a separate place that I do that. So I'll show you where I do that over here. So content, so Facebook and Instagram scheduler. So this is what I use to schedule all of my posts. So that's really helpful. So I'll write the caption in there, but then I will copy paste my caption in here. So this section is a bit about how to write captions, and then I'll paste all of my captions over there, and then I keep track of all of that. So if I want to revisit something or keep track of that, then it's just super easy, and I copy paste and just extend my list there. So I have a really long list. And then over here on the left, we've just got useful resources. So Notion, how to use Notion, all the different things you can do with that. So different ways of using it. You can basically turn anything into anything. So bullet points, checklists, numbers, toggles, headings, subheadings. You can insert videos, websites, pictures. So all you need to do is click the plus and you can add a page, a to-do, a heading, and the list goes on and on and on. Even though you can do all of this stuff with Notion, there is a bit of a learning curve. Obviously, you can start out, adding these bullet points, checklists, and stuff like that, which is really easy to do. But then in terms of creating the different, like the pricing calculator and all of those things, there's lots of formulas that I have input there. So those are a little bit more complex to create yourself. That's why I basically have spent ages creating this whole template so that it just saves so much time, so that you basically have all the hard work done for you and you can just use it. So that is what the students on the CSA are going to get access to. So I'm going to have a free version that you can download. I'll put a link at the bottom of the video, that you will get a minimized version of this, but you'll still get access to quite a few of these features. Obviously, some of this is part of the paid content that come along with the content in the course. Also, students who join the Consistent Sales Academy are going to get access to the CSA Dashboard. And in here, they'll have all of the different modules. And inside each of these modules, they have all of the lessons and the worksheets that go along with that. helping you stay on top of everything with the use of these templates that I've created just to make everything super smooth and easy so that it's not overwhelming and you can stay on top of everything. So that is basically Notion. So you can see why I call it my second brain, because it's absolutely incredible and I find it so invaluable. Like, there's no ways I'm going back to writing notes on post-it notes after using this, because it's just fantastic. So there is a link in the description below where you can download the free version of this, and if you want to have access to the full version, then there's another link over there taking you to the page where you can find out more about the Consistent Sales Academy in case that's something you're interested in. And I look forward to seeing you in another video. Speak to you soon. Bye.